Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Under Construction. This is episode number 115, and I'm your host, Ellis, otherwise known as the Admiral. This week, we have a few things that I want to take care of, the most of which, or the most significant part, is to finish up the textures between about here and about here or so, which is going to take some effort, so we're going to have to get cracking on that. But first thing that I want to do is actually clear out some trees from, I think, right here, because I know along one of these tunnels I made the mistake of neglecting to clear the trees out after adding the power lines up top. I did save and load, save this as a new thing and reload it, so hopefully we aren't in too much danger of crashing the game, but if we do, I'll just hang on and reboot the thing. Come on now. Show me the trees. Hopefully this is the one where I did it, because where else would it have been? There's trees over there now. Oh, they're coming. There's trees coming this way. Trees in that tile. How about this tile? It's over there. Oh, there we go. Alright, yeah, so it is absolutely this tile. Thankfully there's, I don't think anything here that I can accidentally click on and delete that I want to keep. Alright, so move some of the rest of these things out of the way. I just happen to be, digging around, and I noticed that the power lines were not cleared up this way, and went, oh, how did I miss that? So, here we are. Not the end of the world, although what I should go and do is add some of those shrub splines over the top of this. Yeah. Because this is how these things look often. The thing is, this railroad was built so late, but it was just built cheaply. And they could have done a much better job of getting up these mountains. It was people trying to make a quick buck out of competing with the Gilson Eastern for the north-south run. Or the Jefferson and Gilson and their partner, I believe, at that time. I don't remember exactly when the Gilson Eastern formed. Okay. So, the other thing that I would like to do, maybe, is work on the bridge scene, which I've talked about already. There's something that I want, though, to do this, which is I want some sort of, well, that ain't it. I want some sort of trestle without track on it. Because I want it to be like they're using the trestle to get across this area here, but not for trains. This, I think, has track on it. I'm wondering if I can get one of these that has track that that I can change the track on it. If you guys know of anything that'll fit here, say so. And alternately, if you guys think of anything like, of any way to enhance this scene, or if you have an opinion on whether I should just connect this and leave it like a trestle with the pillars built into it, and limit it, limit the speed significantly. Because maybe we could have a train that's going through here while they're building this other bridge, or something like that. They have, maybe they have the bridge across and one of the spans in place, sorry. Let's see, if I grab, these are RTK bridges. Yeah. So what do I want? I want this, I think. Oh, we need to clear those trees out. If I recall correctly, when we originally built this, we had it with this bridge in mind, because that's where I put the pillars. if they want to load. Yeah, more or less. Oh, wait. Right about there. I believe we thought this through. Yeah, we did. So I could have one span in with the trestle underneath it, and then the other two spans, whatever. We'll have to come back to this, because this isn't what I want to focus on today. I do want to come back and do a good job of tidying that, or, making that work camp happen, but I want to do some of the bigger picture stuff first. Because, the little stuff we can spend some time on, we can have some thoughts about. I do like covering those things at the beginning of the show, because if people tune out, then at least, if they tune it halfway through, at least they get the opportunity to hear the things that I want input on and give input on them. So speaking of input, I'll go to the thing that I touched on a lot about last week. Before I get to, the main topic for this week, which is dumb compared to last week, but whatever. I was talking about basically my mental health and things like that, and to take that sort of thing seriously, and, whatever. It was a PSA, and also it was a little bit of a vlog. I've said that I'm not much for those. I don't even like them particularly much, but it was the closest thing you're really going to get out of me for that. So, Boeing fan, please don't crash. Boeing fans, 727 said, was there a 727? It's funny you talk about getting help for mental health, and I picked today to watch this. Have been struggling for a while now with mental health related things such as borderline personality disorder, to name just one. But I have been needing to see someone, and have been putting it off because I've been too busy to do it, and so it's becoming a problem. I understand that. My quality of life is garbage, and recently have had some rather horrible thoughts. I hope in your pursuit you find therapy to be helpful. When I lived in St. Louis and saw my therapist, it helped so much, and I wish I was still able to see her. Good luck, and hope you can get the help that you need. Well, likewise, Boeing fan. And if you need someone to talk with, if you're in the Discord, or even if you're not, you can jump in there and poke me. I'm Admiral Ellis on there. So, yeah. I hope that everyone is able to find someone that they can talk to like that, because, like I said, I don't want to retread too many of the same steps as last week, but it is really important to mind that stuff, and if you neglect it in favor of, yeah, well, I've got other things going on right now, it's just going to undermine your ability to do those things, and that's what I'm learning the hard way. So, I hope that as a society, we can move towards a time where it's not just more accepted, it's more available. I don't know where to begin, even after scouring the internet. I've got some phone numbers to call and stuff like that, but that's, it's not like I've got names right off the bat. I do have names, but it's not particularly helpful. They're in alphabetical order, because that's what Rhode Island does for their licensing board. So, at least I have the fortune of being in a small state. No matter who it is, I'll be close enough to them that I can get to them effectively. It really is a shame to hear that you've moved away from the person that helped you, but there is another, hopefully. And I'll be willing to bet if you get in touch with your old therapist, she'd be able to direct you at somebody closer to where you are, or at least she'll be able to help with the right kind of resources that, I'm not saying it's like the parental ring, but, they're professional organizations and they tend to know of each other. I'll bet you, if you're in a decent-sized city, she's probably had patients or known people that have had patients that have moved from there. The world is not that big, even though sometimes it feels like it is. And where the world feels really big, and this is the main segment for this week, I think, in Hearts of Iron 4. Oh my god. So, a couple of days ago, I noticed that game was on sale. And I scrounged through what I got in terms of Steam gift cards for Christmas, because Madison's brothers and my cousins are all top-notch people, and they know that that's what I appreciate. So, I was like, alright, Hearts of Iron. what is this game even? And so I ended up watching a 7-part tutorial series. Each of these parts was over a half hour long. I cannot recommend the series enough. I wish I knew who it was by. I can't pull it up right now, but I can later, or if somebody asks in the comments, I can mention it. But there is a 7-part tutorial series. When I just looked up Hearts of Iron tutorial, it's what it brought me to. And on one hand, it was a lot of videos to watch, and I'm not sure how much, it definitely taught me a lot, because, it's 3.5 hours or 4 hours plus of video on that game, and how could you not learn a lot from that? On the other hand, it feels like after learning those things, it felt like I had just barely scratched the surface of what this game is. And so I was like, you know what? Screw it. I have $50 in Steam Cash. All of the DLCs plus tax came to, I think, like $49.95. I was so in. I was on board, and so I decided, yeah, you know what, let's do this right now. And so I purchased Hearts of Iron 4 and all of the DLCs. And, oh my god, I am engrossed. I didn't expect to get as absorbed as I have, even though I expected, like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna love this game. The fact that it is so ludicrously deep in terms of what you can do and what can happen means that I have spent, aside from the time playing it, I've spent tons of time in the past couple of days just Googling. Just, okay, what does this do? How do you do this? Can you do this? Looking through the achievements, trying to pick out, like, what do I want to do next? Do I want to do a run as such and such? Do I want to do a run as, I want to do a run as Sweden, and I want to go communist and join the USSR, or the Comintern, and then leave that faction and try to make my own with Denmark and Finland and Norway, or make as in take them over. But that's so I just have those thoughts running through my head constantly, like, oh, I could do this, I could do this, I could take these. There's an achievement called Poland Can Into Space, and I'm thinking, okay, so for this achievement, what I have to do is I have to go and play as Poland, because you can play as any country in the world. I can play as Poland. Same strategy as before, because the solution is to survive. So if I turn off historical AI focus, I have a slightly better shot at not being gobbled up by Russia or by the USSR and by Germany at the same time. So that would be good. That would be a benefit. So that will help me. But the other thing is, I'm thinking about, like, I don't want to join Nazi Germany because, A, they lose the war, typically. They lose the war in the original timeline, so I don't want to be on their side. B, they're Nazis, so I don't want to be on their side. Okay, what's easiest to do otherwise? Well, I could join the Soviet Union. It's like, okay, I don't think that my chances of getting these things done are harmed if I'm in the Soviet Union, or at least I don't think that they would be majorly harmed. They would maybe be helped because they can keep me alive if Germany decides, no, you know what, we don't like you and we're going to invade anyway. Because then I can drag the USSR into war with Germany and they will help me, etc. Fingers crossed, anyway. Not that things go the way you plan them. Like, I've twice now wanted to invade Yugoslavia, and by the time I muster up the desire to do it, or, I justify my war goals or whatever, Britain's already like, no, you don't. No, you don't. We're going to stop you if you do. I'm like, son of a gun, I need to do quicker. But it's like I'm, marching down this path of progress, and, what do I rush first? What do I do first? What do I build? How do division templates even work, really? And what should my national focus be? Am I going quickly enough? Can I speed that up? Should I be changing my government? So, I don't like fascism, because I'm I don't know. I don't like fascism. Democracy is good for you, and I mean, I dislike the USSR less than I dislike Nazi Germany, so I'm more willing to side with them on things. Also because they won the war. But, you know. So, my whole shtick has been like, well, I don't really want to be on the side of Nazi Germany. I guess I could become Nazi Germany, or try to take them over, which, okay. My main game is Italy. As Italy, I've decided that I don't like being fascist. I could stay fascist, and maybe it will become more palatable to me in the future, but because I'm just doing this, and I'm just trying to be like, alright, I am going to play this country like I would play it, and not with a specific goal in mind. Whereas with the potential Polish playthrough and Swedish playthrough, I'm not going to try and just be me. I'm going to go in with different goals, and I'll do whatever to accomplish those goals. You know, changing the country around, allying with people I don't like, or, you know, whatever. So anyway, I digress. I've been playing Italy like I want Italy to be. I've been playing them trying to shift the government to a democratic government, which is not doing good things to my stability, but it's okay. Don't want to join the Entente or the Allies. Excuse me, goodness. Don't want to join the Allies because they'll get in the way of my other aims, which is like to be Rome. So, I'm trying to rebuild the Roman Republic over here, befriending countries that will hopefully help me to that aim. I'm not sure if I wanted to be on the side of Turkey or Greece, but I kind of want to conquer Greece. But to do that, I would have to fight the Entente, or the Allies, I mean, or both, I guess, in this case. So I'm really waiting until they're embroiled in a war to go to war with Greece. And hopefully they will sort of leave me alone if I decide to do that. Maybe I want to push... I could push Greece into... I could push Greece into fascism, and then they would want to align themselves with Nazi Germany. But Nazi Germany is already getting attacked by yours truly, as well as, like, lots of other people. Most of the allies and stuff. It's not an all-out war, though. They're not fighting, like... France and Germany are not fighting on their border right now. Which I find strange, but it is what it is. Russia and Germany, I don't think are fighting each other at all. Russia had a civil war, and is sort of just busy tidying up its own mess. I kind of want to... I mean, they have their own faction. I kind of want to, like, you know, get a non-aggression with pact with them or something. I don't think anything I'm going to do is going to piss them off, though. They're sort of over there doing their own thing. I wish they would guarantee my independence, because having Russia at my back, if I do go to war with the Allies, would really be nice. I need friends. I need allies. And I'm not getting a lot of them. Because I'm fascist Italy, is why. Okay. It really shouldn't surprise anybody. It doesn't really surprise me, it's just kind of annoying. So I'm thinking about, like, well, what do I do now? What do I have to do to make the world over like me more enough to the point where if I invade Greece, not all of the democratic powers in the universe will jump down my throat. The first thing was, okay, becoming democratic. Yeah, that'd be good. Second thing is, I don't know. Who do I befriend? The Allies probably like Greece more. Historically, they definitely did. But I don't know if they'll tolerate... You know, I don't know if befriending Greece or Turkey is better, or befriending neither of them and just trying to go it on my own, with the help of Bulgaria, I guess. I mean, Romania's in on the other side. I should just start conquering territory over there, but instead I decided to push into Germany, because seriously, F those guys. They're Nazis. Mostly because I wanted some territory from them. And I wanted their stuff. They're a very industrialized nation. Yeah, it'll take a while to build them back up, but once, I'm being the main aggressor here, hopefully, when the war is over, and I intend to win it, when the war is over, I'll be able to take at least most of Germany for myself. This grass really shouldn't be here, but I'm putting it here anyway. So, I mean, I've already started to get bigger. I took over a chunk of Austria-Hungary already. I did finish conquering Ethiopia, which is important as Italy. And I took over Yemen, which was kind of a weird thing to do, but I was like, you know what, nobody's going to care about this, and they have oil. It's a very freedom thing of me to do, to take this over, so I will do it. But, like, that's it. That's all I've done. I have done so few things, and yet I feel like I'm conquering the world over here. I spent years in-game building up to get ready for attacking Nazi Germany, and finally that day has come, and I'm just like, oh god, oh god, oh god, somebody please help me. 'Cause I don't know what I'm doing. I'm starting to understand how certain things work. I am an absolute lunatic, or, noob and idiot when it comes to, well, mostly when it comes to Air Force and ships, although I'd like to get better at ships. I'd really like to do well in the Navy sphere of things, but I don't know how that works at all. So, oh well, I'm gonna have to spend some time on that. I need, like, a naval guide. I can probably find one, actually, again, on YouTube. There's lots of great stuff for this game, because people are super dedicated to it. But yeah, I can't give it enough praise. It's blown me away with its depth, with its intrigue. It's had me thinking about it for days on end. Game. Because, oh man, it's hard to call it fun, but I won't say it's not fun. It is a very deep and stressful and, like, deep think sort of game. It definitely is fun, but not in the way that, like, tooling around in War Thunder and blowing up ships is fun. It's fun in, like, it's satisfying fun when stuff pays off. It is, and at the same time, it is really entertaining to watch the world go on. When I've been playing as, in my main save as Italy, it's been really interesting to see, like, oh, such and such declared war on this guy. Oh, okay, here goes this. And, like, watching the country borders change and watching countries grow up and then fight one another or make alliances or whatever, it's been super entertaining for me as just, like, somebody who loves to watch basically AI at work. It's almost like AI pornography. So, not literally, of course. So yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It just got off sale, so unfortunately if you want to buy it, you missed your chance. But, so, okay. If you buy the base game, which it's relatively inexpensive anyway, I think. I think it's only like $30 now. But it was down to, I think, 15. I can check that later. It was down to maybe 15, and then all the DLCs I said was under $50. But you don't really need the DLCs to have a good time in the game. It's a pretty fun, good game otherwise. And on top of that, the DLCs, if you have a multiplayer game and the person hosting owns the DLCs, everyone in the game gets to play with them. So that alone means, most of my friends who I'm telling to get the game, and anyone who's listening to this that I'm telling to get the game, if you're in the Discord, and if you are in the Discord and you want to play Hearts of Iron and you have it and whatever, then we can arrange something. If you're not of fan rank, then maybe start a promotion poll for yourself and mention that that's why, because if you can, the biggest issue with the fan polls, or the promotion polls, is people have not articulated themselves as to why. It's like, give me fan rank. No, you need to do better than that. You need to, explain why you want fan rank. This is the essay question that says explain at the end of it. And then there's 5 empty lines. You can't just say, because I want it. That's why when I pitch these things in the show, and I say, if you want to be a part of the Iron Horseman Modular Railroad, then do this, and and go in there and say, I want to be a part of the Iron Horseman Modular Railroad. So, that is why I want my promotion. That is what I'm talking about. I'm trying to give people reasons, things to say, to give people, not just me, because it's everybody, to give people more of a reason to want to promote somebody. I have the final say, of course, but it is the vote of the people that weighs heavily into whether I promote somebody. Because if I'm promoting somebody that they don't like, then I don't want backlash or whatever. If I am not promoting somebody that everyone's like, no, this is a great guy. No, seriously, he's a really cool person, and he wants to do this and he wants to do that. You should bring him in here. And I'm like, no, you know what? I don't like him. That's not fair to that person or anybody else in the server. So, that's my tip for if you decide to join the Iron Horseman Discord. Have a good reason for getting that promotion, because there's nothing wrong with living down in the public groups, but you don't get a lot of the resources that you do by having the fan rank. So, I can't recommend it enough. If you can articulate why you want it and be good about it, and people will likely look at an individual's conduct and possibly how long they've been on, or a variety of things. I can't tell you what people judge those things on, but I can say what I think they get judged on, and definitely being nice and being straightforward about it and having read the rules and stuff like that. If you post a poll to promote yourself while another poll is going on, people might look on that as like, this person clearly didn't read the rules. There's only supposed to be one poll per 24 hours. On the other hand, they might overlook that because, everybody does that from time to time. You don't notice the active poll. And it also might be a conversation starter like, I'm sorry, I came here to do this, blah, blah, blah. Point is, credibility with the other people on the server is really important to getting that promotion. It's not like the council will decide your fate. Everyone gets a vote. I don't weigh some people's votes more than others. We have a specified location for people to say, like, I know this person, they're a good person, they're my friend, or, they work on this, or this is what they've done. People have the opportunity to vouch for their friends. And generally, if it's somebody that somebody knows, particularly if it's somebody a horseman knows, like it's their friend or significant other, perhaps, then I will be relatively quick to go, okay, yeah, they probably deserve this promotion. And they get a promotion. I have never demoted somebody, but I guess you could always demote yourself by leaving and rejoining, and then not asking for your ranks back. I don't know. Doesn't sound like a wise plan to me, but I've never demoted somebody. I've just thrown people in gulag for indefinite periods, which there are some people in there still, because there are some people that I just don't feel like letting them out, and I've written down like, hey, I want you to tell me A, what you think you did wrong, B, why it was wrong, and C, an apology. And it's usually pretty simple, like people spamming stuff, or pinging people all the time, or not pinging people all the time, like pinging everyone constantly. I have many gulagable offenses that I've tallied up. And some of them have never been used. Some of them I just, I wrote down as like hey, if in case this happens, I'm going to have a preemptive reason to throw somebody in gulag. And if they ask why, I can point to that and say, because this is why. I give reasons anyway, but it's important to have them written down beforehand so that, A, so I don't have to come up with one on the spot, and B, so it gives more credibility to it instead of the idea of, well, you just came up with that reason because you don't like them. It's like, no, I didn't. It was something that I established is not good beforehand, and whatever. Of course, there are some funny ones in there. One of them is just called Here Comes the Silverton because people kept posting the lyrics, and so I threw somebody in gulag because I needed to make an example. And then they were like, okay, I'm sorry, I won't do that again. I was like, cool, you can come out. But yeah, we had some people come in and mess some stuff up and post a lot of things, and somebody did not like them because they were basically getting bullied. And I was like, you guys need to stop and delete those. And they didn't listen, so I was like, alright, fine. I threw all 3 of them in gulag, and I outlined, like, alright, this is what I want you to do. I want you to apologize. I want you to tell me what you did wrong, blah, 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 blah. Same thing I said earlier. And, like, one person was like, listen, I apologize to the person that I was directing this at. I don't know what else you want from me. Oh, okay. And I was like, that's sincere enough. It helped that one of their friends chimed in with, like, a screenshot of the conversation. So, I appreciated that, because that lends a lot more credibility to it. And the other person's like, when are you going to let me out? I apologize to them, let me out. So, I feel like I set the bar kind of low with the first person that I let out. They were doing a lot less than the other two. Like, I think I'm just going to sit on this for a little while. I don't have a good response to this right now, so I'll just sit on it. And if they say something else, I'll say something else. Alright. Oh, whoops, I grabbed the wrong texture. Give me this. Not that you can really tell the difference, but you can tell. The wrong texture is the wrong texture. Okay. So, my neck is killing me. Oh, my back and my neck. Sorry, I just need to... I kind of fell asleep on the train and it really messed my back up. I had a rough evening because of dryer, like, dumb homeowner problems is how I described it. The clothes wouldn't dry or the sheets wouldn't dry, and I had just sopping wet sheets, and I had to deal with that last night at like 1 in the morning. And that was unpleasant, and it led to me forgetting my phone in the morning because I was exhausted. And, like, it's one of those things where you really want to get frustrated, and you want to get and be like, you want to just pick somebody out of a crowd and be like, you didn't help me. It's like, okay, but they weren't supposed to help you. And also, this is nobody's fault. The dryer isn't working. And so I was just sitting there like grumbling to myself, because I can blame this on nobody except maybe the washing machine company, because they made it so that the washing machine would give up if it can't balance the load, but I know it's just trying to survive, so I guess I can let the washing machine, what's the word? I can respect the washing machine. It didn't screw up anything. But I was just frustrated because I'm like, great, now I have to stay up and babysit these sheets while they go through the spin cycle, or these blankets while they go through the spin cycle one more time. One at a time. With them specifically placed by yours truly so that they'll be in the right spot and not shake the thing to pieces. And then, only then, once everything is safely dry enough to go back in the dryer, can I go to sleep. I'm just sitting there. I'm sitting downstairs on a folding chair at 1:30 in the morning staring at the dryer, or the washing machine, like, you better finish. You better finish the spin cycle and not just give up and tell me that you can't balance the load. I balance the load. Sorry. That'd be a good episode title. I balanced the load. Thanos washing machine. So, I'm hoping that some people down in the comments have seen Star Wars. I don't want to spoil anything, and I intend not to spoil anything, and I expect you guys to not spoil anything either, because this is the internet, and you don't know who could be looking around that hasn't seen the movie yet. I had a certain reveal spoiled for me by a review that I was reading before I went to see the film, which I know, again, it's one of those things where you want to be frustrated at somebody, but it's entirely your own fault. And I was like, damn. And I tried to forget it by the time the movie came around, but that doesn't work. That never works. So, it's like, oh well, I've been spoiled now. How do I cope with this? It's like, well, don't tell Madison, because she's seeing it with you and she hasn't had it spoiled. And then she asked me the question where the answer is the spoiler, and I was like, I had it spoiled, so I can't tell you. I can't even speculate with you. And I felt kind of bad about that, because I wanted to experience... It robbed me of a couple of really awesome experiences in the theater, which I really wish I had... Well, I kind of knew they were coming then, so I should have looked over and just saw Madison's reaction. I should have just enjoyed that, and I didn't. And so now I lost out on that too. I want to take someone else to see it, probably my dad, and just eyes on them the whole time. So, without spoilers, there's some dramatic reveals, as you would expect for the third in a trilogy, quote-unquote. And the reason I give the quote-unquote is because and I have to talk about this. It is definitely 2 movies in one. There was not enough time in a singular film to do everything that J.J. Abrams wanted to do with that movie. And that isn't his fault. He set up things the way he wanted them in The Force Awakens. Originally, as I understand, it was never supposed to be the same director comes back and does things. But Disney, for whatever reason, they wanted the trilogy, each one they wanted it written by a different person. And, which I think is a terrible idea. Or directed by a different person, I mean. And it wasn't done collaboratively. It wasn't done in such a way that one person, all 3 directors and writers conferred and decided on how the story arc was going to go. J.J. Abrams came in and wrote The Force Awakens, and it was sort of like a rehash of Episode 4, which was alright, though, because we hadn't had a really good Star Wars movie in a while. I mean, the prequels are the prequels. Revenge of the Sith isn't terrible, but it's not good compared to the last 3. The last 3 being the original trilogy. So, with that in mind, I think J.J. Abrams went, well, okay, what can we do to bring in enough nostalgia to keep people going, to rehash the old format, and make it interesting enough that it's still entertaining to watch, but not, go too crazy and extravagant with the changes that we make. And I think they struck an okay balance. Maybe they could have gone more out on a limb with Episode 7, and that seemed to be the sort of critical consensus, and the consensus of the fans. It was a good movie, but, we've seen this before. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I've got Star Wars fans down in the comments, which I'm sure plenty of you guys are Star Wars fans. Star Wars is so mainstream now, it's absurd. Once upon a time, it was the culture of the nerds, geeks, and weirdos. They would like Star Wars and Star Trek. Now it's like, Star Wars has got some of the biggest box office releases. Anyway, it is a huge brand name. It is a huge entertainment draw. It's like a Marvel Comics. Who reads comic books? Nerds. That's who. And yet everyone goes to see the Avengers. And I think that's awesome. But anyway. The Force Awakens was a rehash of Episode 4. It was a good one, but still a rehash. And the fans cried out, no, we need something more interesting and unique than that. So, the next guy, who was writing his movie before the script for the other one was even finished, huge mistake, comes in and has some fun. I'll say that much. I didn't dislike The Last Jedi. I thought it had problems, like significant problems, in terms of pacing and story, but I did like it. Did I talk about this stuff last week? I feel like I'm rehashing. When did I see Star Wars? No, I saw it like... Okay, you know what? I must have been talking about it ahead of time, because I saw Star Wars like last weekend. So anyway, I'm just trying to put this, the thoughts I had last week in perspective. And I'm sure a lot of it you've already heard in other places online. I'm not trying to regurgitate the talking points that people have on Reddit. At the same time, though, I do agree with plenty of them, so that's why I talk about them. If I didn't agree with something, you would hear a fat disclaimer. So I'm not just trying to regurgitate points that I've heard in order to sell this conversation. And there's a joke at the end of it. I'll get there eventually. So, Episode 8. Episode 8, the controversial one. Critics seem to generally like it. Fans seem to generally not. And I really did like the message it sent. Oh, anyone can be a Jedi, or whatever. And you had these awesome character moments with Rey and Kylo. I mean, my doppelganger. And I thought for a lot of reasons it could have been a very good movie, but the plot was all over the place. So for that reason, it kind of wasn't. I don't dislike it. I enjoyed it, and I'll probably watch it again, especially because it's super cinematic. I mean, the salt planet at the end. Oh my god, I would watch that scene 100 times. With Luke and everybody firing at him and stuff. Sorry, spoilers for Episode 8. Plenty of weird stuff happens in that movie, but we've had plenty of weird stuff in Star Wars in general. And the fans cried out once again. No, that was too weird. You also didn't do a very good job of it. You did a bunch of things that we didn't really like. You went out on a limb too much. You undermined the canon. And it didn't turn out very good. And so they brought J.J. Abrams back. And they said, well, you need to fix this. And so he took what happened in the last movie and just sort of went, in all honesty, I don't really think he did. There were a couple of subtle digs here and there, or even homages to it. I think there was a comment about the Holdo maneuver that I think was actually trying to back up this fellow director, because that's something that he got a lot of backlash for. Although there's something else that kind of ruins it. And I would like to think that it was just something that, we threw that in there and then we forgot to remove it. Or something silly like that, When you start to think about, there are some plot criticisms to be made with Episode 9. That said, I think they could have been fairly easily patched up, and if they were to ever release like a enhanced edition or director's cut or something like that, they definitely can find the time and the adjustments to make the overarching plot of the ninth movie much more bulletproof. Make the big bad a little bit more competent, a little bit more explained. And if you poke me and maybe 2 weeks or something, when the spoiler talk is in full swing for this, I can come back to this, because I was sitting on the train bored out of my mind without a phone, and trying to think of, okay, well, how would I fix this? How would I correct this movie? What would make these things make sense? And I do mean make sense. I'm not even talking about, like, okay, cramming 2 movies into one situation. I don't know how I would fix that other than making it effing longer. But how do you fix the plot holes in you-know-who's weapon of mass destruction of choice? And I'm not even going to say who you-know-who is, even though I'm sure everybody knows who the hell I'm talking about. Because, let's be honest, when something is revealed in the opening crawl, is it even a spoiler to say that it's there? Which I thought was a huge flaw. Anyway, I can bash that movie all day long, but I think that with the issues that had come up with Star Wars in mind, with J.J. Abrams being thrown on this thing and said, fix it, J.J., fix it, I think it would have been hard for him to do a better job of following up Episode 8 with what was supposed to be a crowd-pleaser Star Wars. And it looks like it was. Because even though the critics panned it, basically everyone I've talked to has loved it. And you go on YouTube and all you see are people bashing the movie, but everyone I've talked to has loved it. And I know that's anecdotal, but I've talked to quite a few people at this point, and I read, like, all of the threads on Reddit from, like, day one when the movie started coming out to when I saw it. Which was, like, 2 weeks on. I read through 2 weeks of discussion threads after the movie came out because I needed more Star Wars in my life. I just wanted to hear more people talk about the 9th Star Wars and see what people thought about it and see, I didn't want to let the internet decide my opinion, but I wanted them to maybe give me a little bit more insight on what I just saw, because I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. There were a lot of things in there that were homages that I caught, but also plenty that I missed, and plenty of things that were kind of amusing that I missed. And, just weird connections that people managed to draw that I wouldn't have in a million years. So, yeah, I'm impressed by the depth to which the Star Wars fandom will go to find these connections, and the depth to which people know the extended universe lore, which most of which unfortunately has been done away with, but that's probably better for everybody that it was, and describing what parts of the EU match up with, and by that I mean extended universe, not European Union. We're moving away from the Hearts of Iron discussion, or we have moved away from it, rather. What parts of the EU did get pulled out and put into this movie. And there was a couple of pretty major things that I would have never, ever known about if it weren't for people on Reddit discussing them. So, yeah, don't let the internet decide your opinion of the movie, but if you want more discussion on it, and if you want to hear more things that, that maybe you might have missed, go read. Absolutely go read. Just, you don't even need to engage. I sure as hell didn't. I was like, alright, I'm staying out of this discussion. But I found the things that I agree with and the things that I disagree with, and I certainly have a more critical view on it now than I did when I walked out of the theater, because you walk out of that thing and, see, this is my biggest praise of the movie. It's an awesome ride. The fact that they had to cram 2 movies into one, and by that I mean JJ, the fact that he had to cram 2 movies into one means that unfortunately there isn't a lot of time to dwell on much, and it, maybe suffers in lacking emotional punches, but I don't really think it does. Because there are definitely some moments, there are a lot of moments actually, more moments that I would like to admit that I got choked up. There's one moment with Chewbacca that if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I I'll just say it has to do with Chewbacca and General Leia. No spoiler that they're both in the movie. So also they did a really good job. I gotta say this. They did a really good job of bringing in Leia for this movie, despite the fact that Carrie Fisher is dead. They did a good job of getting her in there, and it's I guess it's more believable than Grand Moff. So Tarkin, right? He was in Rogue One, even though he's been dead for a while, and he was just an animated dude. Now it's my favorite Star Wars movie, and I didn't realize that he was dead, and so I didn't realize that was an animated person the first time I watched Rogue One. The same way I didn't realize that Halsey was animated the first time I went through the Halo 5 cutscenes. Things have gotten really good to the point where you can squeeze past that uncanny valley if you're catching people off guard. And they absolutely did it with Tarkin for me in Rogue One. And maybe not so much with Leia, but there was only one scene with Leia in Rogue One. And there's some things with Leia so if you don't know she's dead, you might not even notice that things are kind of weird about it. I was sitting there wondering, okay, how are they going to handle it from the very beginning? I won't tell you how, but I'll tell you that she shows up. I'll tell you she's in the film. And I'll tell you that they did a really good job of getting her to be present, realistically present. And I don't want to use the word impactful because I feel like I don't want to make people think that that's a spoiler of some kind, because it really isn't. I mean, she's the general, she's head of the Resistance, so of course she's going to be impactful. But sometimes you might think that, oh, they're just going to sort of bury this character. Oh, they died off screen. Oh, whatever. They didn't do that. They did a good job of dealing with, okay, what do we do with Leia now? So, yeah. And there are more things that I want to point out that I think are really funny or interesting, but I don't want to because they're spoilers. I'll just say that Adam Driver is his name, right? Adam, not Alex. Adam Driver is a stupendous actor, and I will basically watch anything that he is in now. I already love the guy, partly because he looks like me, but from the neck up, just to clarify. But also, when I went to see The Dead Don't Die based solely on the fact that he and Bill Murray were in it. I don't think I'd ever actually seen a zombie movie before The Dead Don't Die. Aside from actually World War Z. I saw World War Z, which is a weird, oh, that's my only other zombie movie. I've never seen, the regular, Dawn of the Dead or anything like that. And I've never seen Zombieland, which is weird because I like Bill Murray. He's got a cameo in that. I've watched that scene, just to hear him say Garfield, maybe. But I've never seen Zombieland. The Dead Don't Die might be my second zombie movie ever, and my first slow zombie movie, which is weird because of how much I like zombies. I don't know. Yeah, I can't think of another one that I've seen, so that might actually be true. Anyway, I thought it was a good movie. But it's got Adam Driver in it, and it's got Bill Murray in it, and they're buddy cops. And I was like, oh, how funny can this possibly, or not like that, not like how funny could this be, but this has gotta be good. This is gonna be good. And despite the fact that it was a total whack job of a film, I thought it was good. I had a lot of fun in that theater, watching them do that. And then just coming out of that, what did I just watch? What did I witness? What was that? It's almost like a modern-day Monty Python movie. That's actually... I've never thought of that comparison before this very moment, and now I think that's how I'm going to continue describing it, because it totally fits. It's just this bizarre humor. Like, this stuff just comes out of left field. I guess there's no point in me worrying about spoiling The Dead Don't Die, but just like from the fourth wall breaks at the very beginning of the film where they go in the car, they turn on the radio, and it's playing The Dead Don't Die. And Bill Murray and Adam Driver have this hilarious, like, 3-second conversation where it's, why does the song sound so familiar? That's because it's the theme song. And then they just sort of drive on. And it's like, you can do that? You can just call that out in a film? And the answer is yeah, you can, and it's hilarious. So, I thoroughly recommend that for anyone with, an hour and a half to kill. It's not a very long film, too, so that helps it. But it's like a Wes Anderson movie at a baby with a Monty Python movie, I think. That might be the way I'm going to describe it from now on, because it more accurately reflects all of my interests and my thoughts on the film. We get Driver in a Wes Anderson movie, that'd be a good one. Wes Anderson needs to make some more movies. He needs to make more movies like Grand Budapest Hotel is what he needs to do, but he almost never bothers to retread the same ground because his movies are just so out there. But hey, I love the guy. I love his filmmaking style, I love his films. Grand Budapest Hotel might be like my second favorite film, behind Up. Anyway, where was I? I got totally on a tangent. I was just talking about Adam Driver. I could have totally just gone into a thing, oh, how handsome do you think he is? Do you think he's handsome? And then just reveled in the comments. Just like, oh yeah, you guys think I'm sexy. I know you don't. So, I didn't even need to fake that one. That said, the scene in episode 8 where he takes his shirt off might have awakened some things in me. Malignant narcissism. Anyway, what is up with all these trees? I just want to look like that. I'm already Ben Solo from the neck up. Can I be him from the neck down? Oh god. Unless he's got a tiny penis. I would make that trade. I wouldn't make that... you guys know what I mean. It's not worth that trade-off for me, I guess. And now is where I ask how big you guys think he is. No. That's a step. That's a step I'm not going to take today. Okay, so we've cleared all the trees over here finally. We can finish on moving up with the texture. It's been an hour. But I think we've made good progress towards our goals. This has become like the movie review show. Because what else do you talk about when you're just like up to your neck in this, and what else do you have to talk about? I mean, the new Doctor Who started coming out, I just don't have a way to watch it. So I would be talking about that. I feel like television spoilers are way less bad than movie spoilers. Movie spoilers, it's usually these huge, impactful things. Television spoilers, it's like, yeah, but you'll get another one next week. There are some things in some shows, Doctor Who is good at this. There are some things where it's like, oh, we spent 2 seasons leading up to that. So, maybe if you didn't spoil it, it would be better. And I'm just like, oh yeah. Like, the whole thing with River Song. And, I guess a lot of the companion stuff, Clara being who she is, Clara being the impossible girl, that was like a season and a half of lead up, or 2. Amy and Rory and River, their relationships to one another rather, and and Mel's and everything. That stuff, yeah, there's a lot of build up there. What the crack means. A lot of the stuff around the 11th and 12th Doctor, there was a lot of that. But by and large, yeah, you can spoil that stuff, but it's not going to ruin your viewing of Doctor Who. Probably not even a little. It's not, the show does not hinge around those moments, whereas movies often do. I'm not saying that's a critique of films, but it's just it's a statement of fact. In a movie, you only get the couple of big moments that you can deliver, and you want to deliver on them. So you want to make them impactful, and they will be the thing that carries the film a lot of times. So you don't want to skimp on that. And when somebody undermines that by spoiling it, then now suddenly you have a lot less punch. Can you let me click on this? There have been things that I've had spoiled for me for one reason or another, in one way or another, that it's like, well, now I kind of want to see that movie a hell of a lot less, because I just, what's the point now? I know how this goes. I mean, yeah, some of it is, you want to be there for the experience. I don't think anybody watches Titanic and is surprised when the ship goes down, but, like, I don't know. You guys can give your opinions and stuff like that. I'll read them off next week, and I'll be happy to do so. Give me this. So anyway. Yeah, you can talk non-spoiler Star Wars down below, at least for the next couple of weeks. We'll do a good job at not spoiling things. And then in a couple of weeks, if you want to poke me, how would I fix Star Wars 9? Doesn't need a lot of fixing, I'll be honest. It's not like I'm going to go in there and change characters and stuff. The thing that I really want to change is just the climactic sequence and some of the logistics that are involved. Because I don't want to get into it right now. And maybe is logistics giving too much away? I don't think so. It's not. I'm probably actually being misleading by that. There's a climactic sequence. During the climactic sequence, some things happen. The justification for these things that are happening is kind of weak, and I don't like it. So, that's what I was thinking about. It's like, what do I do to make this plan better? As the villain, how would my plans have been adjusted to make what the good guys are doing actually make sense? Also to not be horribly OP, but that's beside the point. Stuff gets stronger, this power creep going on. Okay, so give me this. I'll just string this right along here, because why not? The grassier it is right now, the better it is. If I'm moving a little too quickly and it's not giving me full coverage of that texture and the grass is shining through a little bit, I think that's okay. And speaking of which, I don't want to be placing grass. I just watched 4 people go into stick fight and I'm kind of jealous. It's one of those things. I'd rather play Chicky than stick fight, though. I like stick fight, but it gets old kind of quick, for me anyway. Also, it doesn't help that I'm not very good at it. So, I'm usually not the worst in the group, but easily I can be. That's my biggest issue with that game. Are we going to do game reviews now? Let's do game reviews. No. I spent enough time talking about Hearts of Iron. Minecraft got an update recently. I haven't really poked at it. It's more of a bug fix update than anything, and it adds bees, which is neat, but on our server, we're a little far away from where we're going to generate bees. So, oh well. Yeah, I don't know. I've been bopping around from game to game, playing a little bit of War Thunder here and there. Actually got for the first time in a very, very long time, I dipped below 5 million lions, which I know, woe is me. But, seriously. And I'm just thinking, like, well, what do I do? How do I get more lions? I've not been in this position in forever because I got the carload of lions twice in a row almost, and so I got 2 million free lions. So I was like, well, what do I do now? How do I get more money back? And I disabled automatic repair because that was costing me a fortune. I kept the automatic refilling of ammo because it didn't cost nearly as much. And I decided to look into some of the wagers that I have. I completely blew the first one like a moron. And I bet money on it too, so that sucked. But, you know, the wagers that I have, a lot of them are like best squad wagers. I've got like 25 of those. I've got like 25 destroy 5 units wagers, which I've found... I went through one without much trouble, so that was good. I got myself like 50k lions out of that, so clearly there's hope for me somewhere. But yeah, I mean, with some of the stuff, when you get up to the higher tier stuff, just buying anything is $1 million, and that hurts. Also, when you're exploring a new tech tree, if you're good at the game, I guess. I don't know. I don't think I'm that good, but I can regularly place top to near top of the team in tanks and ships, so I guess I'm above average. Except for in planes. If you put me in a plane, God, I'm such a turd. But anyway, I digress. The point is, I've been able to do those things, and I also would like to save the best squad wagers for when I've got a squad. Playing a few games with a squad, especially if you're playing tanks and you all sort of group up and hang out together, and just shoot things together, you're gonna get best squad, especially if you're in a squad of 4. You'll rack up those achievements like nobody's business, or those medals. So, yeah, that's something that I like to do. It's definitely a tactic, and if you log in for like a week, you get some wagers, and you can use those. And some of them might be ones that are relatively easy, and you don't even have to put like an actual wager. You still get something even if you don't put any money down. So, there's no reason not to, really. If you're doing something where you think you're going to do well, and you think that and you can meet the requirements, I think you have to be like tier 3 and above for most wagers, then why not? Get some free lions out of it if you have some good games. Battle victory wagers, yeah, they may not be the easiest thing in the book, but if you pick certain countries, you're pretty much guaranteed money. Especially if you're going to be like Tank RB or Air RB or something like that. These games where the countries are actually divided up, and some countries have a seriously high win rate compared to others. In fact, I should go looking at that for myself. What countries have really good win rates, and then just go and try to play those in realistic. I think mid-tier US is pretty strong. And, I mean, mid-tier Germany isn't bad either, but they face against mid-tier US, although mid-tier US being, like, slightly lower than mid-tier Germany. I'm talking, like, 5.7 Germany and, like, 4.7 US. So, I think those guys are good. All the things I just named. The Soviets, if you go a little bit lower, they get pretty good because they have, like, the early T-34s and stuff. Alright, we need our other kind of grass. Oh, you know what? We have some over here. I think, right? Oh, bye-bye. Can you bring that back? Alright, the wall is coming back. Give me these. I don't even call this detailing, This is not detailing. Some people might figure it's that, and there's a reason it's taking us this long. And if I was trying to do something really quickly, I would never even bother with this grass. But this isn't detailing for me. This is just scenery. This is what it's supposed to look like. And yeah, it's not great, but it's really good, I think. It's simple but good. And that's what you want out of good scenery. That's what you want out of scenery. You want something that doesn't take you hours and hours and hours to do a small section, but still looks like it took you hours and hours and hours. You know, I definitely spend more time scrolling through the menus looking for things than I do putting them down when I'm building. And yeah, you want to put down the right thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, do you really, want to spend that much time looking? Make sure you remember what you used last time. Make a pick list, or something like that. Oh, this is using the other kind of ballast. What happened here? Why did I change ballast? Let's make this slightly larger, just to cover this abandoned track on the right, and then I'll shorten it up once we get out here. Oh no, actually, I think it's a good size. Yeah. Pick lists are good for you, even though I do not practice what I preach. Ah, damn it. God damn it. Alright, we're an hour into this and I screwed this up. It's okay, nobody should see it without the session layer anyway. I think if I merge the session layer into the route layer, it should fix that, but I'll do that someday in the future. I will, you know what, I'll do that before I go to 2019, because if 2019 breaks stuff, I might as well have all the stuff break at once. And it prevents things from breaking twice. Alright, so I haven't really consciously done a ballast meet before, so I'm going to just sort of, I guess I'll just put it there and call it a day. And then I want this stuff, I want to just put it over here, and I don't want to overwrite that, the ballast for the spur line too much. It just needs to be clear that there's a division. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't need to be clear. Maybe I will try to not hide the fact that I'm using two different ballasts, but not draw attention to the fact that I'm using two different ballasts. Because it's not at all what I intended. Okay. Keep going this way. Come on, computer. Computer's having a rough day. I'm demanding a lot out of it. And then after this, I'm going to go play Hearts of Iron, so I'll be demanding even more out of it. Come on. Okay. I just got confused about what day of the week it was. It felt like Tuesday, which is really weird because it's my first day of work after a holiday, so why would it be a Tuesday? Unless I'm thinking I had a long weekend, which I clearly didn't. Oh, we need to get over here. Can I... Where... No. I was spending time looking for this texture. Oh, grass and mud. I want to fill these areas with grass and mud because it's a little bit more unique, and maybe I can start doing this in the future. Because it gives a little bit more credibility to the idea that, well, trees just aren't here because they don't grow here, instead of, trees aren't here because I'm lazy. I didn't want to put them here. So since we're spending this much time up here this episode, it means that next episode we should probably spend more time down below by the water, and really try to fill in those other empty areas, because we are running out of empty areas, and that is not a bad thing. And once we get this, yeah, we do have to do the other side of the hill and stuff, but I think that's pretty small potatoes compared to getting up to Lionhead. And the fact that we've been able to get here in a couple of hours, yeah, it's built on the backs of work from a couple of episodes, but it still means that we're making very good forward progress, and I think that's fantastic. Alright, so, let's see, are there any other gray bits around the edge here? Yeah, right there. Just to make sure we have everything covered, because it really does pay to do everything at once. It pays in time. It pays dividends in time. This way. Let's get this tree. Let's just delete this tree. Who needs this tree? I like this, though. The stone, the crushed stone and the stone do make this look pretty good, and I'm probably... Oh, hold on. Is that... I think that's a grid line. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, get out of here. I think a camera here would be good. Not that I know how to work those, but... Alright, we need to continue down the way with Oz Forest Floor Darker. Speaking of Oz, man, though, I saw some ridiculous videos of those wildfires. I've got nothing but respect for the firefighters that are out there in that incredible, incredible weather. The thing that really gets me, though, I forgot to come back to my joke about, whatever, I'll get to it. The thing that really gets me, though, is that, A, they're volunteers, and B, they're sending out alerts like, there's a brush fire near you, you can't escape, hunker down inside, and if your house starts burning down, you're just going to have to run for it into an area that's already been burned. Good luck. Like, holy crap. It's apocalypse now. It is literally going to turn into Mad Max over there. I wish the Aussies nothing but the best, and pleasant, cool, wet weather, as much as possible. I'm hoping that the tides of weather turn. I know we are past the solstice, so it's past the longest days. So hopefully it'll start to cool down, because Australia is just... It's completely ridiculous. They're boiling over there. You can fry shrimp and you don't even need a Barbie. Anyway, I was writing back and forth with my friend about Star Wars 9. Oh no, you know what? I'm not going to say this because it's this minor spoiler. Damn it, I can't say my joke. I'll have to say it next time. It was a... I'm not even going to say. Damn it. I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, what is it? What is it? What is it? If you poke me on Discord, I can put it with a spoiler tag in the film and television chat, because there are not many people who would appreciate the joke, I think, because it's a little bit sort of an obscure reference, I guess, sort of, maybe. Maybe unless you like both Star Wars and football. It's not really going to be a super entertaining joke, I would think. But it's one of my favorite things, so I just hang on to it and bring it out when I can. Unfortunately, now I've modified it to contain Star Wars spoilers, so I've completely ruined my own joke, and I can't tell it for like 2 weeks. So... oh well, I dug my own grave with that one. Come on, what is this? What is this? Oh, never mind. Let's put some of this over here because we've got an open space. I think this is just a little bump that I can't really tell what it is because it's in shadow. And patch up this spot. And I'm noticing some bits of grass here. I don't want them too close to the track. Upper, higher on the sides I think is fine, but too close to the track it just makes it seem a little too ratty. The other thing is, maybe I should clean out, or should be cleaning out the trees from these areas here. Because formerly yard area wouldn't necessarily grow all these trees this quickly. At the very least I can cut them back from the track a ways. Thin them out over here. It's not like I'm worried about people seeing deeply into the forest because there's the lake right there. So. Yeah, the idea is like there was supposed to be more yard here. I don't know what actually would have been here. Right now it just houses like an engine terminal. Or a helper point, I guess is what it is, not an engine terminal. There isn't really the infrastructure to have an engine stationed here all the time that lives here. So it may be canon, I guess, that the locomotive actually returns to, like, Jefferson or something. Or it goes up the hill or something like that. I don't know exactly. But either way, I think it's, I think if I were to say that, yeah, the engine does not stay here, it just comes here during the day, and it helps trains during the day. And then during the night, the trains need to bring their own motive power, and they probably are mostly diesel-powered. I've said that this side of the mountain is mostly diesel power. But, or this side of the peninsula, I guess. But anyway. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you would keep one here. I need to look at how the Main Central did it. The Main Central, they bought 4, I think 2662s or something, off of the Boston and Maine. The Boston and Maine had bought them to bring trains through the Hoosick Tunnel, and then a year later they decided they didn't want to do it that way, and they electrified the tunnel. The Main Central bought these 4, and they stationed them along their paths. They had 3 at specific points, so, one here, one there, and 1 that was always in for maintenance. So they would rotate them out. They would take 1 in and replace it with the one that had just undergone maintenance, and then they would swap that with the next and swap that with the next. I don't know if the locomotives lived in the locations that they went to, or, and drove there every day or every week or whatever, or if they, were stationed out of, if they lived in the locations, or if they were stationed out of other locations. If anybody has any ideas about Main Central ops like that, I know it's a little bit niche. I should probably poke the guys at my Model Railroad Club because they know a little bit more about that than I do. And maybe the Main Central guys that are restoring 470, or even the Conway Scenic people. They might know. Either way. I really am thinking about helper ops around here. Because I feel like that is definitely going to add a lot of life to this railroad here. This should be a little squiggle or something. I don't know. Unless they just tore this down and rebuilt it, which I could understand. I need to put grass in now. See, I've got about 40 minutes left. I mean, I don't want to squander my time. So let's get this up to... Oh, those are close to the edge. Oh, I didn't really do this area, huh? Oh, don't do that. That's not good. When you're replacing other texture, the game really doesn't like you. Okay. Keep moving. Yeah, wow, this is painful. This is unusually painful. Let's just be the amount of stuff in this area. This is why you follow the Mason approach and move stuff onto all different layers that you can turn off while you're working on something. It really is smart, I just never bothered. I can move all of the Maple Beach birch onto a single layer with, like, 3 mouse clicks. But I just haven't bothered, and then every time I touch something, I end up forgetting that that is a layer. I go and I paste trees, and they're somewhere else. They're on a different layer. So I've made that mistake way too many times for me to bother doing the layers thing. I did try it, and then I screwed it up. So yeah, I can't do it. Put this over there. Come on. We got to spread these guys out more. We've got to get this area covered. It is painful. It's bizarre how my recording says it's running at 50 something frames per second while I'm doing this, and yet it's honestly, the game is being played at like 10. And I'm wondering, I wouldn't think it looks any different, but I'm really wondering what causes trains to act up like this while you're just painting the ground. And hopefully in the future it gets better. Hopefully in 2019 it gets better, and stuff like that. I didn't seem to have as many problems in 2019, but I also don't know if I was using the 5-meter grid. I think this area is starting to get into the realm of detail work. I definitely need to move these trees back, though. I swear, some of them just disappear, because this forest was definitely denser before. This is actually fairly realistic looking. Even with the grass in there and everything. I just need to cover up all these little indents of whatever. Or these little missing squares. These little missing gray squares. Right there's one. And I'm just going to do this with dirt, because I don't think it's going to be a huge deal if it's brown instead of green, especially when it's got grass on top of it already. You could call this getting lazy. I call it getting efficient. I also call it getting lazy, but there's no reason that can't be one and the same. Isn't there that Bill Gates quote about laziness, efficiency? Find the laziest person, they'll find an efficient way to do something. Okay, so I want to get texture at least up to here. So let's do that. And then we'll come through and we'll do a pass of grass. And then we'll see if we have any time left after that. Because the fact that we did the lake, the fact that we got up to here, yeah, we might not have done the bridge scene. But that is a small detail segment that, yeah, I guess I can come back to that. Maybe next episode, maybe episode after that. At some point in the near future, I'll be able to come back and do that work. It's not going anywhere. I think having the trestle there, the wooden trestle, that is supporting the new bridge, is going to be a really cool scenic thing. And you know what? Maybe if I'm doing that, having oh, this is not 5-meter grid. Hold on. That's very strange. 1 second. There we go. You think I would have caught that one, because I came through here with tracks so long ago. Anyway. What the hell was I saying? We can come back and work on the detail sections at a future date. Although, the more I think about it, the more I really do like the idea of having the bridge with one section built, some steel beams hanging out off to one side, some cranes hanging around, one section built, the other two sections being a trestle, there being a speed limit of like 5 miles an hour over the bridge, if that, maybe 10, because I know 5 miles an hour sometimes acts kind of weird. And yeah, we can have a train go deliver more steel to them, or we can have a moment where a train is requesting to use the siding as like use the bridge as like a temporary siding to pass somebody. I don't really want to do that. In fact, I might not do that at all, and it's just like an interesting thought. But it is a thought, and it's something to throw out there. You guys are always welcome to state your opinions on what you think of the things that I've come up with, or come up with stuff of your own, because I'm not going to come up with everything. There's got to be plenty of things that you guys have in your heads that would make great additions that will never enter mind without you putting them down in text form. The other thing is, though, if you are going to do that, I'm not trying to stifle communication or discussion or anything. If you're going to do that, it's definitely best to do it on something that I'm actually actively working on or working near. Because if you're giving me suggestions for a town on the other side of the peninsula, well, I appreciate that, but it's going to be a real long time before I ever even touch that. I have high hopes for what to do once I get out of here. Once I get done with this section, I should say. Once I get out of here. All I need is a pint a day. I have big ambitions and big hopes for how well it's going to go with me working on stuff outside of this, but at the same time, I don't know if those are true, if they'll work, if I'll be able to do a better pace or something like that. Yeah, I've said that once I finish up with zombie train questions, I'll go to do like 2 under constructions a week, basically, instead of 1 in a zombie train, because it will take me about the same amount of time, with processing time and everything included. And then I got a ton more questions, so I'm farther from getting done with them than I was previously. I had like a year in me, and now I've got more than that. So I appreciate it. I'm glad to keep doing that series and keep taking input from people and whatever. But I may at some point just decide to do a long stream where I cover a lot of those questions. I just try to bang them out one by one. Because unlike a lot of things, I don't do, unlike a lot of people who do Q&As of that sort, I'm thinking like Drakenfell, I don't really need to research much beforehand. If it's a specific locomotive or a specific location, yeah, I can look it up and I can understand what's going on. But a lot of it, I can answer a question in like 2 minutes and then spend 13 just BSing to fill a 15-minute time slot. I've considered trying to squeeze 2 questions into 1 episode, but I don't know how carried away I'm going to get in a question. I want to be able to give the full 15 minutes to it if that happens. And I also, don't want to extend the episode out because then I need more footage on this end. Or I need to slow down the time lapse, which I don't really want to do that. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing that for a while, and I think it's fine because Thursday, Friday, yeah, I'm booked up now with this. Sorry, I need more water. But that's fine. And it leaves the beginning half of my week open for normal human things. Homeowner things, like dealing with sopping wet sheets. Not because someone peed in them, because the washing machine sucks. It doesn't actually suck. I should have never put in more than 1 blanket, and I should have self-balanced it to begin with. The washing machine does an admirable job of trying to sort the stuff out on its own, and eventually it just gives up, and it was my fault I didn't go down and check on it. Anyway, sorry washing machine, I really didn't mean to make you feel bad. Hopefully it'll do my clothes now. I mean, you get home, you see stuff that needs to be done, dishes in the sink, bins outside, out front, or whatever. Clothes need to be folded, etc. These just generic stuff. It's not even like homeowner stuff. The homeowner stuff is like, this door is squeaky, or like, there's a roof leak, or something. These things that are really only specific to you as a homeowner, and like they don't apply if you're like in a dorm or an apartment or something. I never had to, if there was a problem with my plumbing in a dorm, I'd call the maintenance people. Hey, my toilet's not flushing. Yeah, I tried the plunger and it didn't work, so help me out. And somebody would come and help me out. And in fact, some of the maintenance guys, they were really top-notch at school. But here, nobody's coming. Unless I pay them. Then people are coming. But, as much as I appreciate my dad for doing the work that he does in the house, and my cousins for offering the help that they do, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to me and my checkbook. So, yeah. That it just is the way it is. It is the way it is when you own something. It's going to be the same way when you own a car. When you own a car, when something goes wrong with the car, you either try to fix it or you take it to somebody who's going to fix it. That's even more poignant because it's a lot harder to ignore something that's wrong with your car than it is a minor issue with your house. Because cars, they can get minor issues, but when it comes time to take something to the mechanic, you should take that thing to the mechanic. Because it will leave you stranded. The house is not going anywhere most of the time, unless you have a serious, serious problem. It's not going to fall in on you. So, it's just going to be like, oh, you know what, that should be updated at some point in the future. Oh, this kind of sags, or, oh, this doesn't look very good. Or, well, we'll need to put a bucket here for a little while because the pipe is leaking, but I can get to that, and as long as we remember to empty the bucket, it's not the end of the world. Whereas your car, it's like, if I don't fix this within a couple of months, either the car's going to be ruined or I just can't drive it. Think about like a rattle, like a steering wheel shake or something like that. It's like, oh, that definitely means I need an alignment or a balancing or both. Or maybe something more sinister than that. And so I'm thinking, all right, well, how long do I have until this thing starts really damaging other components of the car because of the shaking? And so you hang on to that thing as long as you can, but that as long as you can, it really comes down to a relatively short length of time. You can deal with stuff in house for years without any major change. Yeah, it takes money to make the change, and you need to put that money in eventually, but you can wait on that for a while if you need to. Not advocating for that. If you've got an issue, you should fix the issue. Or pay somebody to fix the issue. Or at least Google it and understand the issue. You can look up a tutorial for anything these days. Is your shower drain not going down well? I'm sure there are 500 people on YouTube that'll show you how to not have that happen. And how to snake your drain yourself, even if you don't have an actual snake. How to clean out a trap. Stuff like that. These things that you might not know going into home ownership, but the world is there to teach you, and that you probably should know so that you don't end up spending, forking over cash at repairmen all the time. Or, alternately, have a big family and people that know how to fix these things. But no, seriously. Learning just how to be handy, having a half-decent tool set, having the drive to do this stuff, that's what matters. You can learn how to do anything. Seriously. Especially when it comes to houses. They might be big, but they're not that complicated. You'll be able to fix more on your house than you can in your car. The average house, the average car that's out on the road today. A lot of the time, you really have got to take a car in to some place because, look at the thing, it's a computer on wheels. You're not going to fix that unless you're a programmer. And you're not going to learn, how to jailbreak your car. So, you might as well just take it to the mechanic. Your house, you can't take it to anybody, first of all. Not that that's a huge issue. You won't ever have to call anyone for a tow on your house, so that's nice. But you're stuck with it. And if you own the property, it means that you're responsible for that work. So it's time to either get good or get spending. And you can do those things. Houses are simple. They're built so that you can repair them. There aren't people with a vested interest in making your house difficult to repair. There are people interested in making your car difficult to repair, because they want you to buy more cars. They're the same people that sold you the car in the first place. So, make a reliable car, make a difficult to repair car. Make a house that'll stand up, but you don't need to worry about, well, what if this person wants to repair it? You're not gonna buy a second house from the same people, probably. I think it'd be kind of weird if you did. Unless that people you bought it from is like a realtor or a bank and you're just upsizing or downsizing. Anyway, there are edge cases. Point is, it's good to be handy. I don't know how I got here, lamenting about my house. This is my therapy session, but not really. Get a real therapist. I'm gonna get a real therapist. Somebody to talk to, a real diagnosis. Like, what's wrong with... What is going on in my head? I can come on here and I can be the Admiral for 2 hours, and that's fine, and then I get off here, and it's like, alright, now what? What do I do with my life now? There's so much stuff to do. This is my respite from the house stuff. And social obligations. Although I do like having people on. It's a very different kind of social obligations. Alright. We are in good shape to finish up this area. I did a social obligation on New Year's Eve. Madison and Shay and I, we actually went out to the nearby casino for a free party for New Year's Eve. Never in my life would I do that. On my own. But it was like, it's New Year's Eve. Obviously I want to spend it with Madison. If this is what it takes, then there's, it's not bad. I'm going to be at home sitting by myself playing Hearts of Iron. Or I'm going to be there and I'm going to wander around the casino for a little bit and just look around and, maybe entertain myself a little bit. I'm not going to spend any money, but whatever. And I can't answer that. But yeah. I got a name. And I was like, I want to be, with you when we go into the new decade. It's not your average New Year. If it was, a year ago, I might have been like, yeah, what, have fun. I'll stay home. I don't want to go anywhere. But it's like, this is special though. This only happens once every 10 years. And I want it to, I want to share the moment. So it's totally worth it to me to go outside of my comfort zone for something like that. And I've got to get better about that anyway. So, yeah. I mean, I don't care if you want to read into that like an Aesop's fable, but I got to spend that, the last few seconds of the last decade with her instead of here going, oh yay, it's the new decade. Now, who am I invading next? Anyway. Yeah. I've begun to understand divisions in Hearts of Iron. It's a long process, and I'm probably going to spend a lot more time doing things like reading and listening and, all that weird stuff that nerds do. One second. Apparently my keyboard is loud as hell now. I didn't even change anything. My mic is in the same spot it always has been. Alright, so I need to move these trees around / back. Yep. Oh, these guys are in the power lines. Get them out of here. What about you guys? Where is the limit of tree? We can move you over here. That's better. It's actually a lot better. Move these guys down off the highway. Move these guys back from the highway. See if I can fill in these little empty spaces. Let's put that there. Alright. Oh, you know what? We can move these guys over and back. I'm just trying to provide as much space as possible, because we can even have some fun around here adding little scenery bits. I think we could have a pretty good time doing that. I don't know how much detail I want to put into the Lionhead colliery area, and there are a lot of now areas that are springing up that I want to put detail into. And that's a good thing, because it's nice to have these little areas, but boy is it bogging me down. It is definitely making it difficult for me to proceed, because around every corner I find a new area that I want to detail. That's not a bad thing. Oops! I wanted to move that tree, not delete it. It's not a bad thing, but it could be better. You know, we had a long, long stretch with really nothing but trees and grass and some textures. And that went pretty easily and pretty straightforward, you know, from like here through all these tunnels, you know, through here, although this was a fairly open area, through here to basically past Bristol Curve. There's been almost nothing for us to pay attention to in a serious fashion. Nothing, hold on. Sorry. There was a concern I had to address. Nothing super important. Alright, we've got another 10 minutes or so. What are we going to do? Well, I can finish filling in this area here. I can try to, at least. I don't know what to do with this. Wait, where's my platform? Oh, that's right here. Yeah. I don't know what to do with this in terms of texture. I know I need to get this texture in along the roadbed. So, we're just going to forge onwards with this. We've got 12 minutes or so. I apologize because I engaged myself in something I shouldn't have, but I was, my attention was brought to something on Discord, and so I'm kind of obligated to peep at it because it's my own server. But it was nothing concerning. People are in a voice chat and they're posting just pictures and pictures in the regular groups. And usually that isn't allowed technically because a dump is more than 5 pictures and you're not supposed to photo dump anywhere aside from the photo dump group. But if you're having an active conversation and you're posting things that relate to the conversation, there's nothing wrong with that. Especially if it's not getting in the way of some other conversation. You know, if people are trying to have a chit-chat back and forth in... Oh, I used the wrong texture. If people are trying to have a chit-chat back and forth in a text chat, and you keep dropping pictures there because you're in a voice chat with somebody and that's the text chat you're using to share stuff that you're talking about, then yeah, there's kind of a problem. I would keep it to a minimum. But If it's just you guys, you and your friends or whatever, I guess I don't have an issue with that. I'm not gonna, whatever. And plus, it's different when it's multiple people. Okay, this guy posts a picture, and this guy posts two, and then this guy posts one, and then the first person posts another picture. It's different than it is, say, if you're just dropping 10 pictures in and being like, yeah, here you go. Here's 10 pictures. This is what I'm talking about. Here's one of every locomotive that I have in my roster. Let's talk about all of them. It's like, no, you post one, and you talk about that one, and then, there's no need to dominate the conversation like that. It's really just trying to make people be good. Not really. It's trying to just keep clutter out of the text channels and keep it where it belongs. But I'm okay if it's, I'm okay if it's with good reason. Besides, like I said, I've already thrown plenty of people in Gulag lately. Nobody else needs to pay a visit, unless there's a really good reason. Gulag reluctance. It means paperwork. It's the only reason I don't like doing it. And then I have to deal with the people afterward. But, I could always not, There's nothing that says you have to be released. In fact, there's a disclaimer, there's no guarantee of release. But it is the way it is. Uh-oh. That's actually important. I need to get a yard... Oh, you know what? I need to cover in this area with grass and mud. Grass, mud. And I need to keep pulling this thing up so I can actually see... Whoops, what was that? I apologize, I don't know what made that noise. And I got another message. What do people want from me? That's actually pretty funny. That's pretty funny. We had Graham going for a long time that the Allagash Railroad was a real thing and not a model, because it is an incredibly well done model. And he just got something on his Facebook that he's forwarded to me saying, "Oh, look at this," or the things that show up on my Facebook. He said, and it's a picture of the Allagash Progress, the model railroad, and it's like, yeah. I guess that it's not so well kept of a secret anymore. I'm just getting more water. Alright. Madison wanted to know if I wanted anything from Wendy's. Boy, I like the Wendy's, but... I like Wendy's, but man, too much fast food. And also, it gets pricey. I mean, yeah, 20 spicy nuggets and a burger for $5 is good, and that will feed, like, me for an entire day. But I can't do that every day. I've had enough, like, junk today, I guess. I didn't really have that much. I mean, I had homemade potato chips, which were pretty good. Madison made those. And I had a banana, so that's not bad. I had a muffin, which was not very well cooked. And I had a salami and cheese sandwich, and the salami, I think, is starting to go. Like, it's not made me throw up or anything, but it's just not as tasty as it should be. I'm just sitting there like, should I throw this out? Should I throw the salami out when I get home? And I think the answer is yes, so I don't know what I'm going to take to work for lunch tomorrow. I definitely don't want to go out and buy lunch. That's mission failed right there. If you guys are ever working a 9 to 5 like yours truly, where you get a lunch break, it will behoove you to pack a lunch. Yeah, it might be a little boring compared to going out every day, but it will save you bongo bucks. It'll, figure this. It costs for like a week of lunch meat and cheese and bread. It might cost you like $20. You might spend $20 in one lunch, depending on what you get. So you could save, $100 or at least 80 if you, if you decide to pack a lunch instead of buying one every day. Yeah, there are some places that are really reasonable and that, okay, it might be worth it to buy from there for lunch, maybe once a week or whatever. But you don't want to go crazy with it. You really don't. You'll spend way more money. And it means you're not under control of your own food supply, which, Marx would be kind of unhappy with that. But no, seriously. If you pack your lunch, it also means you don't have to go anywhere to get it. I understand that some people will take that as like that's a disadvantage, you can't leave to go and pick something up and have a break from your workplace and your coworkers and whatever. But you could still go to the park down the road to eat your bagged ham sandwich. Nobody's saying you can't do that. You get your lunch break. It's a break for you to decide what to do with. At least most of the time, if you don't have a psychotic boss. But yeah, I'm not sure what to do about this platform yet. Let's grab this from over there. We want this church to have a nice green lawn. And then the other thing we want is a graveyard next to it. And maybe a little patch of gravel here to serve as a parking lot for some people. You could also add like a shed in the back. That might make sense. Or like a small house or something for the priest. Yeah, there we go. And then what sort of thing do we want to use for the graveyard? Maybe just a different kind of grass. I'm going to need to put a fence around it, put some gravestones in it, but hey, it's coming. It's coming along. I think this is the last gray spot in Lionhead aside from the industries that are behind us. This might be the last gray spot on this side of those industries. At least, I think so. It's not like everything on that side is completed, because, like previously mentioned, we have, oh, wait, did I? Oh, I didn't fill in those. Damn. Alright, we'll have to come back to those. But we need to do the highway, we need to do this, and we need to do the detailing on the bridge. But that's really it. And then we are very close to being done here. We still need to do this area here. That's a big patch of gray. We need to finish these areas here, which some of these are just supposed to be trees that I haven't gotten to yet. And then all of this almost is trees. And then we're leaving out Doe Cliff, like I've said previously. We are so close to being done. And... oh, shucks, that was my phone. You broken? No. Phone's fine. Yeah. I mean, let's just look at our handiwork, because I really like doing that. Shit, what did I want to look at? There was something that, like, last episode I was, like, gawking at. Because I was like, oh, look how good it looks, oh my god. And I can't even remember. I mean, just the fact that we've got our... look at this valley! Look how far you can see. Unfortunately, you can't really see that much of it because of all the trees, but once this loads in, you can see the two lines that are wrapping around and heading down the valley. That's so awesome. We have really made something beautiful so far, and I'm so happy about that. And I'm glad you guys have been along for this ride. So, with that in mind, make sure to like and comment and all that. Blah, 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 blah. You guys know. This is the Admiral, signing off.